How's it going, everyone? The 1MFP here. I hope you're all having a great day today. I'm going to be reacting to Alter Bridge today, and I'm pretty excited because it's going to be my first time filming a reaction video to an Alter Bridge song. I'm definitely not new to their music. I love their music. I'll get a little more into the story of how I was introduced to their music and what I like about their music after I react to this song. So the song in question is Take the Crown. It's slated to be on their upcoming album Walk the Sky, which is set to be released on October 18th, 2019. So without further ado, let's get right into this.
So sorry, but you're going down.
I'm already liking this. Oh man, that's an epic one right there. Everything about this song, from, you know, Mark Tremonti's guitar work to Miles Kennedy's voice, his delivery of the lyrics, you know, you have this, I don't know, it's like this chorus that's meant to remind you of what you're capable of. And the way Miles Kennedy delivers that chorus, it just makes it feel so uplifting, because you have that beginning to the chorus where he says, let's state the obvious, we'll be victorious. It's like, it's not even up for debate that we could possibly lose. That's not an option. You're definitely going to be victorious. And the proof is, you know, in history, I guess, because just like before, you've taken the crown in the past, you're going to take the crown again. And, you know, for me, the way I think of it is, you know, it's just a reminder of what you're capable of. And songs like these are part of the reason I like Alter Bridge as much as I do. You know, musically, of course, you just have so much talent in this band. You know, Mark Tremonti is just a phenomenal guitarist. You have licks and riffs and solos for days. And, you know, it just never gets tiring listening to that aspect of their music. But if you're coming to their music for a message, that's present in there as well. There's a lot of substance to it. And with a song like this, you have this uplifting message. And Miles Kennedy just has this expressive quality to just about everything he does, honestly. You know, if you want to look at his vocals, it's there. You know, you really feel the emotion behind what he's saying. You look at his songwriting, the lyrics themselves, there's definitely a lot of depth there. And then if you look at his guitar playing, you know, it shows up in the way he approaches his bends, his vibrato, his slides. there's just this texture to his guitar playing that adds such an interesting dynamic to Alter Bridge's sound. You put that in tandem with Mark Tremonti's style of guitar playing, and it just makes this really unique sound that makes Alter Bridge what they are, in my opinion. But going back to strictly vocals, it just seems like Myles Kennedy knows how to extract the emotion from the lyrics and display them vocally, that upliftingness you're getting from the lyrics themselves, you're feeling in his vocals. And I really appreciate that about Alter Bridge and their sound. And another thing I liked a lot about this song right here is, we had the guitar playing, we had those beautiful riffs, we had this chorus that it felt uplifting, and Myles Kennedy delivered it as such. But we had this pre-chorus that, it set up the chorus in such a good way as well. It felt energetic, and that's exactly what you wanted to feel going into that type of chorus. So what I like about this song the most, I guess, is just how well it's put together. It just feels like each section is flowing properly into the next, and that's exactly what you want out of a song. So, they really nailed it here with Take the Crown. Now, before moving any further, I do want to talk about how I got into Alter Bridge's music, and it has a lot to do with qualities I mentioned about this song right here. But yeah, it all started with WWE. I was a huge wrestling fan. I'm still a wrestling fan. One of my favorite wrestlers was Edge, and he used Metalingus as his theme song around the time that One Day Remains came out. And, there was just something about that theme song. It sounded so empowering, similar to how Take the Crown makes me feel, except it was a bit of a different message. It was a bit of a triumphant message, one where you hadn't managed to reach this ultimate goal of yours, and maybe pressures held you down, maybe obstacles seemed too intimidating, and maybe you're led to believe that you should just give up and settle for whatever it is you have, as opposed to trying to overcome those obstacles and potentially losing more, because that's just a risk you take sometimes when you opt to not be satisfied with status quo. Sometimes you push a little too hard, and one step forward leads to two steps back, and I think that's what makes us think in a way that maybe status quo should be good enough. Maybe we should be satisfied with what we have. But Metalingus had this message to it that made it feel like, if you did stay in that place, you were going to regret it in the long term. Maybe you wouldn't feel like you would lose in that moment, but when you would take a look back, you would regret not taking that step forward. You would regret not taking a chance. And that felt so meaningful, especially with Edge's career at the time. As an Edge fan, looking from the outside, I don't know exactly how Edge was thinking about it when he asked the band to use that song. But looking at it from the outside as a fan, what it looked like to me was, Edge already at that point had a lot of success in his career as a wrestler. He had a spectacular run in a tag team that would probably be enough for him to be a legend in its own right. That section of his career alone would probably lead to him being inducted in the Hall of Fame. Then on top of that, he had some success as a singles competitor. He had a few intercontinental championship runs. He had a pretty successful, singles career as well. So overall, he had a lot of success already at that point. But, for him and for pretty much anybody who dreams of being a wrestler, you dream of that main event status. And up until that point, that quality to his career eluded him. He never managed to get to that point up until that point. So to speak, he had reached that glass ceiling that you talk about when you talk about wrestling. You just get stuck in this mid-card level, and it takes something special to rise above that, to break through the glass, so to speak. And it takes a certain unique quality. You have to stand out. And it just so happened that Edge using this theme song coincided with him breaking through the glass at that point in his career. He took this song, I guess, around the same time it came out, I think, just like soon after. probably 2004, maybe 2005, and Edge pretty much broke through and won the Money in the Bank ladder match in like end of 2005, no, not end of 2005, like mid 2005, won the WWE World Championship in 2006. So as a fan, it just looked really epic for, this song to coincide with Edge's career. The meaning just fit his career so well at that point. But from another standpoint as well, at that point, Edge had dealt with some pretty serious injuries that, they can be career threatening. And Edge could have given up at that point, or he could have just, laid back and taken on a different role. But, he decided to push forward. He decided to turn into this rated R superstar character somewhere down the line, and he really took over. He became this exceptional heel, this bad guy that was essential to WWE programming, one of the best heels of all time. It just fits so well with the theme of this song, this triumphant theme, Edge could have settled for that middle card status. He could have just tried to be the best mid-card performer possible. He could have taken a step back after his injuries, but, he decided that if he were to do that, he would probably regret some things about his career. So he decided to push forward. He decided to push harder. He decided to really do his best to, ultimately reach his primary goal. And, ultimately he did achieve that. He became WWE World Champion multiple times. He solidified his place in the WWE Hall of Fame and gained himself legendary status. So, you look at Edge's career, you look at Metalingus, and they fit so well together. And for that reason, as an Edge fan, that song holds a special place in my heart. But, on top of that, back when that song became Edge's theme, I just remember thinking to myself, man, this song is so epic. Just from the general sound of it on its own, the guitar playing, Myles Kennedy's voice, much like this song, his delivery of the lyrics, it made me want to hear more from Alter Bridge. And back then, music streaming services weren't really a thing. I don't even think YouTube was a thing. So I just didn't have access to Alter Bridge music at the tip of my finger, so the only way for me to gain access to it was to go out and buy their CD. And that's exactly what I did. I went out and bought One Day Remains on the Power of Metalingus on its own. And, that album means so much to me just because of that. It meant a lot to me to have Metalingus, to own it on a CD. It was one of the first CDs I'd ever bought as a teenager, and it was just so special to me because of all this. And going back to that moment in time and One Day Remains, what really kept my interest at that time in Alter Bridge was their sound overall. The instrumentation and Myles Kennedy's voice. It was such a beautiful musical experience, I find. And then you had Blackbird that came, I guess, 3 years later, and man, that album is a masterpiece right there. The song itself, Blackbird, is one of my favorite songs, period. You had songs like Coming Home on that album as well. You had songs like Wayward Son, just a collection of amazing songs there that I feel solidified their identity as a band. It felt evident to me at that point that these guys just work really well together. There's just a certain chemistry in that band that brings out such an interesting sound, and in part that has to do with what I was talking about earlier, how Mark Tremonti and Myles Kennedy, their styles are pretty different. Mark Tremonti, you'll have those sweet licks that you'll just have stuck in your mind. They're just so amazing. But then you have Miles's more expressive phrasing, if you will. And you put those two styles together, and if there is cohesion, it's going to make for something really interesting. And that's what you get with Alter Bridge. But aside from the sound itself, one of the things I appreciate the most about Alter Bridge songs, especially my favorite ones, are the lyrics. And, part of that does have to do with the sound because, Myles Kennedy's delivery is a big part of how you hear these lyrics, and as a vocalist, he's just amazing at delivering them in a powerful, heartfelt way. You feel the sincerity behind the words, And, that's something I really appreciate about their music. So I do want to get into the lyrics of Take the Crown, so let's get right into that right now. It starts off with so sorry, but you're going down. Under the lights and thunder, we come to life. You roll the bones and wonder what fate decides. First thing that stands out to me out of that section right there is the you're going down part. That indicates to me that we're talking to some form of adversary, whether it's a person or a thing. It's a person or a thing that's in our way with respect to something we're trying to accomplish, something we're trying to get done. So for one reason or another, we need to defeat or conquer this person or this thing. And the next thing that stands out to me in this section is the under the lights and thunder, we come to life. So I guess what really stands out to me about that is under harsh conditions, we bring our A game. We won't let that slow us down. We won't let that be the reason that we lose. So if you think that those harsh conditions are any type of negative indicator with respect to how we will operate, you're mistaken. You roll the bones and wonder what fate decides. That to me connects to what we were just talking about, in that, thunder is not really something we control. So you start to wonder how external factors can factor into your opponent's, performance, if we want to call it that, into, the way they operate in general. I think here's where you start wondering who this song is directed to. And I think it's left up to interpretation throughout the whole song. For me personally, the way I'm hearing it, it sounds like this internal struggle where the person who's going down is your doubts. It's like a characterization of your doubts. And if we're talking about the what fate decides line, to me that's, in certain moments where times are rough, you start wondering how much external factors influence your own life and how much of that you can actually overcome. And that's where I guess, we go into the rest of the song and this really gains significance. The screams, the frenzy reveals the worst, as hearts of many hunger to be first. So the way I hear that is when we're talking about screams and frenzy, and it connects with what we were just talking about, in that we were talking about a harsh environment. You observe the impact of that harsh environment on people, and you notice that there is this common struggle, and then you start thinking how that affects you as well. How will you get through your own struggle? How will you get through the impacts of this external influence? And when you pay attention to the struggle, I think it really does reveal the worst. You start thinking worst case scenario. And that's when we go into this chorus and it really gains significance. Let's state the obvious right now. We'll be victorious. We'll take the crown just like we've always done before. You're digging in. We'll step around, because in the end, we will stand our ground. So, these harsh conditions, despite all of that, despite how things may seem, no matter what, we will conquer, we will overcome, we will come out victorious. Overall, we just won't allow ourselves to be held down. That's the way I hear all that. And then we go into the second verse. Blood on the diamond flowing, tears fall tonight. There is no sense in hoping you won't survive. The sound, the fury will shake the earth as cowards scurry, knowing we've returned. So again, the person to whom this is directed at doesn't seem to be defined, so it's up to interpretation as far as I'm concerned. And the way I hear it, this is some type of internal dialogue. There is no sense in hoping you won't survive. To me, that's like showing this distinction between these two sides of you where, you're no longer one with these doubts that have been holding you down. Now you've separated yourself from that and you're looking straight at those doubts and you're telling them that they won't survive. Under these harsh conditions, no matter how things may seem, you're not going to allow yourself to lose. Then when we go into the sound, the fury will shake the earth as cowards scurry, knowing we've returned, to me that's also talking about this like separation from these doubts. You've returned to this place of sanctity where you are almighty and you can conquer these doubts. And when you're in that position, these doubts can really seem so small because you found a way to distance yourself from them. They're no longer as powerful. They no longer hold the power over you that they did before. So that's the way I hear that. And then we have the chorus once more, and then we have another section. You will bow down in the end, know our reign, we will defend. Young and impossible as we stake our claim in the league of unstoppables, your resistance in the end will be in vain. So again, in terms of who or what we're directing this at, it's definitely something that is resisting our movement. It's holding us back from where we want to go and what we feel we deserve. So in order to stake our claim, we must overcome this obstacle. This obstacle's resistance to our opposition will be futile. We will overcome no matter what. And that pretty much sums up what I think of this song. It's about overcoming something that has held you back and something that has prevented you from going where you planned on going. This is about standing your ground and taking what you feel you deserve. So, it's about finding that hope in yourself to, really achieve that. So that pretty much sums up how I interpreted the song and its meaning and the lyrics in general. Like I was talking about earlier, it's just this very uplifting message that makes you feel empowered when you listen to it. And, the lyrics themselves have a lot to do with that, but a lot of it also has to do with the instrumentation and Myles Kennedy's delivery of them. So yeah, that's what I thought. I really enjoyed this song right here. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. I always love hearing what you guys have to say. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. I always appreciate the support, and I will see you all next time. Have a great day, y'all.